President Trump's 25% tariffs on auto parts is set to go into effect on May 3rd. That comes on top of the existing 25% tariffs on foreign cars that are in place at this moment.
But one of the biggest questions about the president's approach is whether they can help revitalize American manufacturing.
Hey everyone, if you're thinking about buying or even leasing a new car, especially one that's made overseas, this video is something you need to watch. As of June 2025, the Trump-era tariffs are back in full force. These 25% taxes on imported cars and parts are shaking up the market. They're raising prices, shifting inventories, changing sales trends, and even pushing carmakers to move production. So let's talk about what's really going on, how it could affect you, and what to expect next. To understand today's car prices, let's go back to early 2025. Just after returning to office, Trump reinstated his tough trade policies.
A 25% tariff on all cars that are not made in the United States. If they're made in the United States, there's absolutely no tariff.
On March 26th, he announced a 25% tariff on imported passenger vehicles and light trucks, which started on April 3rd. That was only the beginning. On May 3rd, the White House added car parts, like engines, transmissions, and electronic components, to the tariff list. There was one exception. If the parts followed the US-Mexico-Canada Agreement, USMCA rules, they got a pass. Car companies pushed back, saying supply chains are global and complicated. In response, the White House allowed companies to get a credit for using US-made parts, up to 3.75% of the car's value through April 2026. But that credit drops to 2.5% in 2027. Experts say these tariffs have raised prices between $2,000 and $8,000 for everyday cars. If you're eyeing a luxury car or an imported electric vehicle, the price jump could be as high as $10,000 to $20,000. For example, the average price of a new car in May rose to $45,462. That's a 7% increase from last year. About 20% of buyers now have monthly car loans over $1,000. In March, when people heard tariffs were coming, they rushed to buy, pushing car sales to a 17.8 million annual rate, the highest in 4 years. But by May, the market hit a wall. Sales dropped 10% to 15.6 million, the biggest fall since the COVID pandemic. Why? An extra $3,000 to $6,000 on a car makes it too expensive for many middle-class buyers. As a result, people delayed their purchases, dealers had to raise prices, and manufacturers slowed production. GM said if the tariffs stick, it could lose $4 to $5 billion in profit. A government advisory group warned that the ongoing tariffs could reduce car sales by nearly 2 million this year alone. And if this continues into 2035, the US and Canada might sell 7 million fewer cars overall. Still, foreign car brands are doing well in the US. Toyota sold nearly 198,000 vehicles in April, which is an 8% jump from the same time last year. Honda sold around 124,000 cars, up 17%. Hyundai and Kia also saw small increases of 8% and 5%. But it's not all good news. Toyota says the tariffs added $1.25 billion in extra costs just between April and May. Honda expects its profits in the US to fall by 59%. Volvo lost 12% of its sales in May and had to lay off 3,000 workers. Even big European brands like Mercedes, BMW, and Volkswagen are hurting. They used to rely on cheaper imports from Canada and Mexico. But when the USMCA waiver ended, they had to start paying the full tariff. Now they're cutting back on features, delaying new models, and trying to move production, while still keeping their profits. But don't think American brands are safe. Most US cars still rely on 40 to 80% imported parts, especially electronics, engines, and transmissions. So even GM, Ford, and Stellantis are being hit with higher costs, and those costs often get passed on to customers. GM said it might lose $4 billion to $5 billion just because of tariffs. Ford warned about higher prices and even stopped giving profit predictions. On top of that, the government doubled tariffs on steel and aluminum to 50%. That adds another $52 billion per year in raw material costs. So U.S. companies aren't getting much relief either. Let's talk numbers. Americans really like foreign-made cars. In 2023, more than half of all new vehicles sold in the U.S. were from foreign brands. Cars from Toyota, Honda, Hyundai, Kia, BMW, and Volkswagen are part of everyday American life. Trade data from 2024 shows the U.S. imported about 7.68 million vehicles, costing around $219 billion. Over 90% of cars built in the U.S. or Canada meet USMCA standards, which means they avoid the full tariff. But many imports don't. Now let's talk diplomacy. Japan has offered a deal. It's willing to invest in U.S. factories if the U.S. slowly removes tariffs. That's a good sign, but nothing's final. The U.K. got a special break. Up to 100,000 cars a year from the U.K. only face a 10% tariff starting in May. But U.S. car makers are unhappy and say that's unfair. The European Union is trying to get a car-for-car deal too, but no agreement yet. Talks with China might help, but right now tariffs on Chinese electric cars and parts are still unpredictable. If any deals are made in the coming months, we might see tariffs come down, so car prices could ease up later this year. But right now, it's probably the most expensive time ever to buy a foreign car. So what does this mean if you're buying? For budget brands like Honda, Toyota, and Hyundai, expect to pay $2,000 to $4,000 more. Deals might still pop up, but overall, prices are higher. If you want a luxury or performance car from Europe or Japan, prepare to pay $10,000 to $20,000 more. Even American cars aren't cheap. Many use a lot of foreign parts. Used car prices are also going up because more people are skipping new ones. Interest rates are high too, so you'll probably get a longer loan with more interest. Some new car models, especially SUVs and trucks from foreign brands, are being delayed or canceled. Dealers may try to attract you with discounts, but don't expect a wide selection. If you are car shopping now, here's some advice. Lock in prices soon if you find a good deal. Prices might keep rising. Check where the car was made and where the parts came from. That can help you negotiate. Think about buying US-made or high US content cars. They may keep their value better. And stay up to date with trade news. If tariffs drop later this year, end-of-year deals might be much better. There's more to this than just car prices. The auto industry supports lots of jobs. Some experts warn that a big drop in car sales, millions fewer, could cost over 100,000 jobs, from assembly lines to suppliers. One report says U.S. car companies might lose $108 billion. Ford, GM, and Stellantis would take $41.7 billion of that hit. This is becoming a huge economic problem. Experts think car demand could fall by 15 to 20%. Also, car parts suppliers are struggling because of shortages in materials from China. Even factories in the U.S. might have to stop working if they can't get the parts they need. So we've got higher prices, fewer jobs, and a lot of stress on car companies. Things won't improve until the government changes its trade policy. There is a little hope for next year. Japan's idea for gradual tariff reductions is still being discussed. The UK already has a partial deal. The EU is in talks. US-based credits for using domestic parts continue through 2026. If agreements start getting signed in late 2025, tariffs could start to come down. That could mean more cars on lots and better prices. But for now, summer 2025 might be the most expensive time ever to buy a foreign car. Watch key events, like the end of the China truce in July, updates from Japan or Europe in late summer, and deadlines for USMCA credits in Q4. If you're able to wait until 2026, you might see lower prices, more cars available, and fewer risks. So if you're buying a car now, be smart. Check where it's made, look for good deals, or consider waiting. I know it's frustrating. You save for months, get excited about a new ride, and suddenly you're hit with surprise costs. These tariffs aren't really helping the average buyer. They're about pushing companies to change where and how they build cars. Until policies shift, those costs are landing on regular people. If this video helped you understand what's really happening in the car market, go ahead and hit that like button and share this with your friends or family who might be car shopping, so they're not caught off guard by rising prices. We'd also love to hear from you. Have you seen prices going up at your local dealership? Are you holding off on buying a car because of it? Drop a comment below and let us know. Until next time, stay safe and drive smart, and watch this next video recommended by YouTube.